first is the industry category. The winner of this year's 2025 SET Award in Industry is Cyclize, based in Germany. Cyclize is represented today by CEO and co-founder Maike Lambarth. Maike, please join me here on stage. A big round of applause for our winner. Congratulations on your win. So, you know how this works. You have 4 minutes to present, then I'll come back out and I'll ask you a couple of questions. Good luck, the stage is yours.
Thanks, looking forward. Hello everybody, I'm super excited to be here. I'm an engineer and CEO of Cyclize. With Cyclize, we are enabling a circular economy of carbon. The problem that we're facing today is that everything that is surrounded by us is based on carbon, so we really rely on carbon. But the carbon that we use today is fossil-based. So we take it out and add it to the system. So the problems I think we're all aware of. And one solution is that we're creating a circular economy of carbon. And for that, Cyclize wants to utilize carbon sources that are already existing. This is different kinds of waste, but also CO2. So we have invented a process, a technology that is able to recycle carbon from waste and CO2. Waste, that can be basically anything. I brought you some props today. So one, for example, is household waste. Whatever we throw in our bin at home, it's a broad mixture of anything, and it's too complex to recycle for other recycling technologies. So when we collect the probes at home, we're already sorting it, but then we have this leftover. So that's what we are specialized on. Then we have, for example, shredded shoes. So all the shoes that we have in this room today, they're really different. Some have leather, some have plastic, some have parts of metal. This is very complex as well. It's compound together. This is also a perfect source for our process. And where we are the most proud of is shredded cars. So whatever you have in your car, when reaching the end of lifetime, the metal parts will be removed, and anything else, the foam, the textiles, whatever you have left in your car, is this mixture. It's quite smelly and disgusting, and that's also a perfect source. So all these different kinds of waste streams, we're putting together with CO2 in our process and reform it into what is called syngas. It's a basic building block for the chemical industry, and today produced from fossil resources. The process that we have invented is electrical driven, so we are electrifying the chemical industry, but it's cheaper compared to the fossil technology. So we don't rely on a green premium, which is fantastic to enable the transition. Today we have a running pilot plant, so this is still a research plant, but it's already able to treat 10 kilograms of plastic per hour. We can do a lot of research with that, and the next step is to go into a chemical park in the industrial scale and to build our first commercial plant and to really offer recycled and CO2 negative syngas to the industry. Thank you very much.
That was fantastic, Maike. I want to take a quick look at these because, you talk about using this waste, using carbon, using CO2 as a feedstock, which when I heard about this is really incredible because so far carbon capture hasn't been a thing, but this could be a real solution. What do you need to scale up?
Well, the hardest part to scale up is to find a customer that is willing to take a relatively small amount at the beginning of syngas and really use it as a drop-in resource in the existing processes.
Okay, so you're at the seed stage right now, is that correct? What would be, this is your first BETD, what would be your dream outcome from the 2025 BETD so that next year at the BETD you can come back and say, look at how far we've come. What do you need to move to the next stage, maybe even turn Cyclize into a unicorn?
Oh, it would be fantastic to find people who either work in the chemical industry and can help us find the first customer that is willing to do this first of its kind plant together with us. I mean, we are in contact already, but this is a quite challenging industry, I would say. Or people who are in contact with different waste streams and would like to recycle them.
All right. If we have any takers, please, Maike is just to the right of the stage. Congratulations once again, Maike Lambarth from Cyclize. A round of applause for our industry winner.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Up next, the winner of this year's SET Award for Clean Energy and Storage is COWA Thermal Solutions AG, based in Switzerland. Here to pitch is COWA's CEO and co-founder, Simon Maranda. Simon, please join me. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining me. Now, you know how this works. 4 minutes. Here are your slides. I'll be out to ask you a couple of questions in 4 minutes.
Perfect.
Good luck.
Yes, thank you very much. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Simon Maranda. I'm CEO and co-founder of COWA Thermal Solutions, and here today with Poppy O'Neill. She's our head of material, the brain of our company. We're based in Switzerland, a spin-off of Lucerne University, and we developed the world's most compact thermal energy storage for residential heating applications. Yeah, the heating sector, decarbonization of the heating sector is urgently needed since it accounts for almost 50% of the overall energy demand, and it's still driven mainly by fossil fuels. And luckily, the decarbonization has started, the renovation wave has started, and the systems that are prevailing on the market are heat pumps, frequently combined with rooftop PV. And in heat pump systems, thermal energy storage play a key role since they allow to decouple the demand and supply of thermal energy. So every heat pump needs a thermal energy storage. Today's solution is based on water, so these are these large water tanks, and the disadvantage is obvious, the low energy density leading to large storage volumes. So that's really one of the main obstacles of bringing the heat pump technology into the urban area where space is very limited. And that's where we come into the game. We have developed the compact cell, a thermal energy storage for heat pump, which is up to factor 4 more compact than what's available on the market. You see on the slide below, you see a direct comparison. Normally in a heat pump system, you have two types of storage, one for the heating system, one for domestic hot water, and we can supply the same solution, but in much more compact way. The core of our technology is the storage material. So in our storages, we're not using water, but salt hydrate, phase change material. So by using the phase transition from solid to liquid and vice versa, we can achieve this high storage density. So similar like an ice storage, but on higher temperatures, between 30 and 60 degrees, where the heating system needs the energy. So that's really the core of our technology, and the materials we are using are based on food additives, so they come at low cost, are non-toxic and recyclable. The advantages of the benefits of the compact cell at a glance are definitely the compactness. Then it's a very efficient way to store thermal energy because we have very small surfaces, very low losses. If you use it as domestic hot water, it's a very hygienic storage because there's no water stored, no risk of Legionella. The water is heated up on demand. And as I said, our materials are non-toxic, so it's a very sustainable storage solution. We have reached market entry last year. We have around 50 systems installed, and our targeted customers are manufacturers of heat pump systems. And we are proud that we have global players now as customers. They're testing our systems. They're selling around 100,000 heat pumps every year. So that's really our way for scalability is to have these customers. Yeah, I truly believe that the decarbonization of the city, decarbonization of urban areas needs smart solution. They need compact hardware solution. And I believe that with the compact cell, we developed a key technology that enables a fast transfer from fossil-driven heating system towards renewable heating systems. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Simon, thank you so much. That's fantastic. I've got a couple of questions for you. So you launched in Switzerland. You've got some global players already on your side. What's the biggest challenge that you've experienced so far when it comes to expanding beyond Switzerland?
Well, to be honest, the challenge was not so big because when I talk about global players, they're mainly in Germany and in Italy. So I think that they have the culture is not so much different, and our value proposition is compactness, so it's very easy to understand, and they all have the same constraints. Like it's always about cost, about reliability. So it was a bit more difficult when we have now the first customer in Japan. This culture is different, so that was a bit more challenging. But in Europe, it was not a very big challenge. Yes.
Oh, that sounds good as well. Congratulations on expanding to Japan.
Yes,
I hope it goes even further than that.
Yes.
You mentioned, though, that you started off at the Hochschule in Luzern back in 2019.
Exactly.
And you've really come a far way from Luzern all the way to Germany, to Japan, and further. You're an early stage startup. There's a lot of support that you get from a university environment. You can fail, you can try things, and you've got a good infrastructure support there. Now that you are moving further afield, what do you need, for example, from people here at the BETD that will get you to the next stage?
Well, I think for us as a young company just entered the market now, it's really important that the people have the awareness that this technology is really market ready. We are looking for partners, for global partnership. And so things like the SET Award yesterday, it's really amazing. This gives you a stage, and it's the perfect timing because this week in Frankfurt is the biggest exhibition for heat pumps. We have a booth there, and I heard that the news went to Frankfurt. They're very busy this morning, so that's really perfect timing. So I will head this afternoon to Frankfurt, and yeah, that's exactly what we need at the moment. We need people need to know that there's the compact cell and that we can store thermal energy in the most compact way.
Well, I think they're going to know about it now.
Yes.
At the latest in Frankfurt in a couple of days. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations,
Thank you
COWA
very much.
and Simon Maranda. A round of applause.
Thank you.
Up next, we'll go now to the mobility and transportation category. The 2025 SET Award for mobility and transportation is Nyobolt. I'm sorry, I'd like to start that again. The 2025 Mobility and Transportation SET Award winner is Nyobolt, based in the UK. I'm joined now by Annie Wechter, Nyobolt's Director of Investor and Partner Relations. Annie, please join me here at the podium. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jennifer.
All right, you know the drill. 4 minutes. I'll see you in questions. Here you go. Enjoy.
Perfect. Thank you. Is this on? Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Annie. We are Nyobolt, and today I want to open your mind to a world where you never have to wait more than 5 minutes to charge your vehicle or any device, for that matter. That's because Nyobolt has developed ultra-fast charging battery systems that are transforming critical industries that demand high uptime and where charging downtime is a killer to productivity. I'm going to use the EV industry as a case study because it's really important here in Europe and around the world. We're seeing public chargers for EVs increase in power. In Europe, we're seeing 350 kilowatt chargers, even up to 500 kilowatt chargers on our motorways. But the limiting factor at these power levels becomes the battery's ability to accept that power. For over a decade, OEMs have opted for low-cost, energy-dense battery packs to combat customers' range anxiety. But in lithium-ion battery technology, there's a trade-off. The more energy density you pack into a cell, the lower the power density. The lower the power density, the slower the charge rate, typically measured in 1 or 2C for traditional lithium-ion. Well, when you have such low power density, OEMs have taken an approach to get around this. They're making battery packs larger and larger to get the type of voltage you need to charge at 500 kilowatt chargers. What happens when packs become bigger? They become heavier, they become more expensive, and more critically, they are using more of the Earth's natural resources. So instead, take Nyobolt's approach. We've developed smaller, more powerful, more efficient battery systems that are lasting thousands of life cycles, and we are putting them in applications such as our beautiful EV that we launched in June of last year to demonstrate our fast charge capabilities. So what you see here is you see a very compact, lightweight, 35 kilowatt hour battery pack, about a third the size of the new Porsche Taycan, that charges 10 to 80% in just 4 minutes, 37 seconds. Now imagine if we take the 17 million EVs that were sold globally in 2024 and the projected 500 million EVs that will be on the road by 2035, even reducing EV packs by half could have an incredible impact on the world's natural resources. So, our commercial success has also proven our technology is real, it's viable, and it's available today. We have 3 customer contracts now signed, 2 in AI robotics, where we are powering nearly 24/7 uptime with very quick recharge cycles. We are powering electric mine haul trucks, solving for CO2 emission and fuel savings problem. And of course, with our EV demonstrator, we've opened up dozens of conversations with European and global OEMs to design their next generation of fast charge vehicles. We were founded out of the University of Cambridge in 2019, and in just over 5 years, we've raised $60 million in funding. We recognized our first $9 million in revenue last year, and we have a very robust $2 billion commercial pipeline leading to a forecasted 300% year-on-year growth. So in closing, I want to leave you with 3 very important reminders. Nyobolt's technology is commercially proven and available today. It is helping our customers to solve very important uptime and performance problems in the industry. And third, it is helping to save the Earth's very valuable natural resources. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So you're commercially available. You're ready to go.
We are. We're in production.
I want to look at that production specifically. So because the batteries that you use, they're made differently than batteries that we have in things like your microphone or here in my iPad. And I want to ask, the battery chemistry that you're currently working with, can it be incorporated into existing production sites? Can you just swap it right in, or is it a more complicated process?
Yeah, you would have seen on the side, out of the University of Cambridge, we developed our first proprietary anode technology. Since being founded, we developed a second. These 2 anode technologies are the part of the battery that deliver the fast charge. So we produce that anode material in-house. In the UK and also in Japan. That's our secret sauce, so we hold very tightly onto that production process. We also hold IP in the battery cells and the battery pack system. So we develop the power electronics, BMS, and software as well. Now, the manufacturing processes for cells and packs are drop-in ready. So we're able to utilize existing capacity all over the world to manufacture the cells and packs at scale at a much lower cost than if we were to build our own gigafactory. So we have production already established in Asia, but we are also talking with European battery makers who have extra capacity. They want to fill that with new technology that is going to usher in the new phase of fast charge vehicles.
That sounds really fantastic. You know, you mentioned China, you mentioned Europe, and I want to talk about one of the other big features of your battery is that it charges from 10% to 80% in just under 5 minutes,
right.
Which is kind of like going to the car and going to the gas station, putting gas right in. And it's going to deal with what people also call range anxiety, which is where you don't want to drive too far in case you run out of the charge. I think that technology like this could be a real game changer, and I think it's going to be a game changer. You're based in the UK, and in light of the news that we got from BYD just earlier this week, you're an early stage startup. What do you need here? What's your big ask in order to make Nyobolt a market leader here in Europe?
Yeah. So the BYD news, for those of you who have seen it, they announced a 5-minute charging EV at a gigawatt charging station. So that news, first of all, is very positive for us because it's showing that the leading EV maker in the world has the same mindset as Nyobolt, and in fact, we're 5 years ahead of the game. So that's great news from a commercial standpoint. Now, as I mentioned in my pitch, there are 2 ways to get faster charging vehicles. BYD's approach is to make a larger pack. So by looking at the data that they did release, it's at least twice the size of the Nyobolt pack. And the charger that they used, a megawatt charger, is at least twice the size of the public chargers that are available in Europe today. So bigger is not always better. There is a limit to the extent that you can increase the size of EV battery packs. There's a limit to the extent that the grid can power megawatt chargers all over the world, much less Europe. So what Nyobolt needs here in Europe is we need 2 things. We need public infrastructure to increase in power. That could be first 350 kilowatts and then 500 kilowatts. But we also need OEM partnerships, many of whom we're speaking to today, to have the mindset change that bigger is not always better, that you might be able to meet the customer's range needs with a smaller battery packed with 10 times the power that can charge in 5 minutes or less at a 500 kilowatt charging system. So we're having these conversations today. If any of you are in the room interested in having a conversation with us, please come talk to myself and Patrick, our general manager for our German entity, sitting in the audience. We'd be very happy to work with you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Annie Wechter. And Nyobolt, congratulations on your win. Go and have those fantastic conversations. All right, dear audience, we are 3 down, 2 to go. We're going to go on now to buildings and construction category. The 2025 SET Award winner in buildings and construction is Concular. Pitching today is Concular's co-founder, Dominik Campanella. Please, Dominik, join me here at the podium. A round of applause. Congratulations on your win.
Yeah,
You know
thank
how
you.
it goes. 4 minutes and then I'll be back out.
Okay.
Your time starts now.
Okay, thank you. So the largest polluter in the world is the construction sector. 60% of all waste and 40% of GHG emissions are coming from that sector. And what's really striking is that half of these emissions are coming due to the production of construction materials. So 20% of all global GHG emissions. And why? Because we follow the so-called take, make, waste principle. So we produce valuable materials like this windows, this wooden floor, bricks, and so on. We put them into buildings. And what are we doing with these really valuable materials after just a couple of years? We throw them away. Although they can be reused, although they're in a really good condition. So, for example, a supermarket, it's demolished after 10 years on average. An office building, the interior is taken out after 5 years and completely thrown away. Only 1% of all materials are reused today. And this is why we created Concular. Because we saw climate crisis is decided on a construction site, and we want to change that. With Concular, we are able to increase this reuse rate from 1% to 60%. And since our establishment, we were already able to have a great achievement with that because we digitized the materials before the deconstruction, so we know what's in a building. Then we match that with the demand of it in new buildings, and then we also take care that these materials are coming from the one construction site to the new construction site and getting another life. 12 million materials were already 12 million square meters of materials were already digitized with that. And with that, we were able to recirculate more than 15 million materials. And not only that, it's ecological feasible, so we can save 95% of CO2, but also costs, because we can reduce the deconstruction costs by more than 30%, as we don't look at it as waste anymore, but as value. Because now, you get money for something you had before to pay for. So you don't have to landfill it anymore, but you get money to sell it. And there are 3 steps we are doing to achieve that. First, to digitize. As said, no one knows what's in a building before the deconstruction happens. In any building you wear today, no one knows what's inside. So if you don't know that, you're not able to bring these materials into a new building. So we have to digitize that. We created a software with which you can go through the building, 3D scans, AI technology, and can do that very fast. But not only that, we also created an internationally recognized standard. So it's now applied in more than 8 countries, this methodology on how to digitize the materials in buildings. And when we know what's in a building, we are trying to sell these materials before the deconstruction happens. We match it with the demand of it in new buildings, but also by the manufacturers. And then we really do it. So we really recirculate it. Here, for example, you can see a window. It's taken out of the football stadium in Stuttgart, and it's going into another building afterwards. And this is happening with thousands of materials every day, like I said, the bricks, the radiators, everything you can imagine in a building. But also very important is that you have to measure the impact, because what's not getting measured, it's not getting done. So this is why we have a software behind where you can really calculate everything. How much GHG emissions did you save? How much money did you save? And how much is your building worth if you don't look at it as a waste, but as a value. And so we are able to work with the largest building owners, public and private. So for example, the German government, the states, every school, and so on, but also private ones like Deutsche Bahn, Bosch, Siemens, and so on. We are doing that for 5 years already with 70 people, with thousands of buildings. We even created an own insurance for these reclaimed materials. So you get the materials for the same quality, for the same warranty, with 95% less CO2 and 20% less costs. And I think this is the way to go, because with that, we are able to tackle the climate crisis. And let's do this together, because our motto is, together we are circular. Thank you.
Dominik, Dominik, I love your motto, together we are circular, because it really is true, and Concular sounds a lot like the definition of a circular economy. I want to focus not on the circular economy, though, something else, because you're based here in Berlin, I'm based here in Berlin, we're at the Berlin Energy Transition Dialogue, and it's also where the German Institute of Standardization is based. We all use A4 size paper, that's DIN A4 paper, and you helped create this, you mentioned it, this standard. DIN spec 91484,
Yes.
which I guess there are 91,483 before it, but it defines standards for the systematic recording of building projects. This is what you're, building products, which is what you were talking about, to ensure their high quality subsequent use. I can only imagine the process and the many, many hours and probably tears that were spent creating this, like going through this process. Can what you've learned from that process be applied to other startups that are working in the renewable sectors? Or are there also lessons that more established companies can gain from that?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think this is very important. So why do we create a DIN standard? I mean, we are a young startup, and DIN is not very known for their very dynamic environment. But what we realized, I mean, especially in Germany, but in a lot of other countries, everything is following a standard. For example, if you build a building, you need hundreds of permissions. It takes years to only follow all the standards. But then we realized if you deconstruct a building, so you can build a building, it takes years to get the permissions. And then when it's finished, on the next day, you can just demolish it. There's no standard, there's nothing. And then we realized, okay, that, 20,000 buildings are getting demolished every year in Germany. So how can we try not that only Concular is doing it, but everyone? And how can we do something mandatory? And then we realized, okay, if the construction sector loves standards, then let's do also standard for the deconstruction, standardized, because then they have to follow it. And then we did that. And yeah, it's completely different to build a dynamic company and to create a DIN standard with 50 companies participating on it, but I think it gives so it shows you should not follow always the normal way, but you have to look to make an achievement. What is there besides the road? And I mean, we saw this opportunity, and so I mean, DIN standard now. I was elected as the convener to do an ISO standard out of it, so there's now 100 countries taking care about that. That's even a lot more fun. But in the end, it's about impact. And the impact, I mean, the EU Commission wrote in their omnibus regulation paper exactly this standard, and that it should get mandatory. And I think this is a big achievement because it will be applied to hundreds of thousands buildings every year. Just something which was created here in Berlin.
It's really fantastic. You know, our three sort of buzzwords for the pitch sessions are innovation, ideas, and that third one you mentioned, impact. And it sounds like this standard and the work that you're doing is really going to have an impact. Speaking of impact, I want to know what can impact you the most. So you mentioned it, you're 5 years old, you are mid-stage. I want to know, what do you need to get to the next level? What could make Concular into a unicorn?
So I mean, right now regulation and everything is going in the right direction, but it can be much faster, of course. Like we have to. I mean, the climate crisis is not waiting for regulation. The climate crisis is not waiting for standards. So it must be faster. And I think the politics are doing their job, but it's a process. Now it's also the companies and everyone. I mean, there's a lot of energy companies also here. They have assets, they have buildings, and if they do something on their buildings, I mean, it's also important to look at their buildings, how they're building that, what materials they use, but how they're deconstructing. So working together with all these companies is very important, and not only look at the energy efficiency of buildings, but also look at this embodied carbon and raise the awareness. I think this is the most important part for us right now.
Fantastic. Working together, raising awareness sounds great. Congratulations, Dominik, Campanella, and Concular. A round of applause.
Thank you.
We've reached very nearly the end of our set award winners. Last but not least, this year's Quality Energy Access and SDG 7 winner. The 2025 SET Award winner in Quality Energy Access and SDG 7 is Koolboks, based in France and focused on Africa. Pitching for Koolboks today is Strategy and Finance Officer Laurelle Niemack. Laurelle, please join me here at the podium. Congratulations. All right, here you go. 4 minutes. I'll see you on the other side.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to start off with introducing you to Mama Ibadan. Mami Biden is one of the first customers of Koolboks. She is a fish trader in the Jora fish market of Lagos, Nigeria. Now, about 2 months back, our co-founders went to visit Mami Biden. Mami Biden still says to this day that purchasing a Koolboks freezer is one of the best investments she's made for her business. Before, she would have to dispose of her fish at the end of the market day because she didn't have adequate cooling. Now, Mami Biden's story is not unique in sub-Saharan Africa. There are over 700 million people like Mami Biden that lacks access to stable electricity and therefore lacks access to sustainable cooling. Like Mami Biden, electricity. Like Mami Biden, and due to the lack of electricity and cooling, more than 40% of food produced in sub-Saharan Africa is wasted annually. About 4 years ago, Koolboks was founded with the mission of making cooling affordable and accessible for all. We utilize 2 natural sources of energy, water and sun, to produce cooling for up to 4 days in the absence of power or limited sunlight. We have a unique property of water that enables us to store energy in the form of ice instead of batteries. So, what is the point of an innovative product if nobody can afford it? That is where our IoT pay-as-you-go technology embedded in our freezers comes into play. Our customers are able to purchase our freezers for as little as $10 a day on either $10 a month, on either daily, weekly, or monthly installments. Now, not only are we innovative and affordable, we are also eco-friendly. Currently, with our product innovations and business model innovations, we are on track to save over 2.5 million metric tons of greenhouse gases and prevention of food wastage by 2027. We currently have deployed over 7,000 freezers over 25 global countries and impacted more than 5,000 women entrepreneurs to date. So, I'm going to end off with this picture, which is the installation day for Mami Biden. As you can see in this picture, there are 2 friends of Mami Biden's and 4 different types of emotions. Firstly, there's doubt and skepticism from Mami Biden's friend, just being very skeptical about Koolboks. But in the middle, you've got Mami Biden with her friend showing curiosity on the side, where excitement is being shown that Koolboks is providing hope for the future of her business. So join us to be that beacon of hope for entrepreneurs like Mami Biden to make energy and cooling affordable and accessible for all. I'm Laurelle Niemack, the Strategy and Finance Officer of Koolboks. Koolboks, life is cool.
I have to say, life is cool. Thank you so much for that, Laurelle. I've got a couple of questions to ask about you. So with SDG 7, it's all about affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy access.
Correct.
You described it a bit, $10 a month for your pay-as-you-go, and this is this a lease-to-own model as well?
Correct. So we've actually got 3 different types of models, but primarily lease-to-own, which is most of our pricing plans we have with our customers. But we've also introduced what we call cooling as a service, which actually could be even less than $10 a month, but we provide all the services as well as cooling over an unlimited period of time.
And I'm sure that you went through a process to develop this business model.
Correct.
Can what you learned from this process be applied to other SDG 7 focused entrepreneurs like yourself?
No, most certainly. So I think one of the biggest learnings that we've taken out of it is being a company that's very focused on sub-Saharan Africa, it's very much about getting to know your customer. We have spent the time on the ground in those communities, speaking to the Mama Ibadens and Mama Ajokes of Lagos, Nigeria, getting to understand what the community needs, what are they needing as a business owner and as a family. So, I mean, ultimately, if you take that knowledge and you harness something like a natural resource, like sun, for example, solar, wind, I think ultimately there's a lot of innovation region, when you come across countries or continents like Africa, we have no other choice but to be innovative. And you can learn from the people in those communities, which is what we've done. So using that plus technology, that's how we managed to harness Koolboks.
That's really fantastic. I think, you're right. Obviously, we know one size does not fit all. You really need to get to know what people need. And now I want to get to know, what do you need? You are mid-stage. Koolboks is mid-stage. What do you need to get to the next stage?
So ultimately, the biggest thing, and I think it comes down to whether it's any emerging economy, right, is about all of us need to band together in terms of partnership, whether it's technical support, fundraising support, or just actually those corporate or foundational partnerships to be able to reach those markets that's very remote that we either don't have data or we don't have access to. So going into our Series B round, we're very much open to those types of discussions to help build and sort of enhance our influence.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Another round of applause for Laurelle, Niemack, and Koolboks. Well, congratulations again to all of our 2025 SET Award winners. Sounds like fantastic projects. I hope you all keep going. I hope some of you watching today are also inspired to do your own thing. We definitely need creative minds like yours to help keep us moving towards a sustainable and renewable energy future. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for our first pitch session of day 2 of the 2025 BETD. Before we say goodbye, let's have one more big round of applause for all of our SET Award winners. Congratulations to you all.